Let me go. I'm going to ask one last question. It's actually from Twitter, and then we'll open it up. Well, just before we open up, I'm going to try something different that I saw at a panel that I thought was a neat way, and that's to have the panelists ask each other a question. So Craig may want to ask a question of David, or someone might want to ask Carlos about getting funding, but I always thought it was neat to have the panelists be able to ask each other a question, and then we'll open it up and pass the mic around wherever that wireless mic is. But one of the questions came in is about business plans. This was from Nina. If you made a business plan, how has it helped you or not helped you in your startup? So, I do teach a course in business planning here, and as I said, I've had several startups. One I had a business plan for, one I didn't. It doesn't mean that, if you have a business plan, that's good. Sometimes having a business plan might keep you too focused and not see opportunities. These days business plans are being considered a little bit passé, that, you don't really need them now. Then there's another lean startup thought that, just get the minimal viable product, get it out there right away and get feedback, or, this business model canvas is another new neat iteration that I like. So with that, basically, did you have a business plan or not? And whether you had one or not, was it helpful or not helpful? So there's 4 possibilities, right? Either you had a plan and it was helpful, or was you wish you didn't do it, or you didn't have a plan and you're glad you didn't, or you wish you did. So, Lenny?
So our company is self-funded. We started with $1,500 10 years ago. So we never went for outside money, beyond traditional bank loans or bank credit lines. So we've never needed a business plan to show to anyone externally. What we did do is, we've drafted business plans and we've updated business plans, with the idea that eventually we will go and get outside money, or maybe as a roadmap for us in terms of how we should move forward. But in practice, we never use it. In practice, it was probably a complete waste of time. Simply, things are changing all the time. You have one idea, you think you're going to do things one way, and then you wake up one morning and you're doing things completely different. And that's, startups, that's what you do. That's how you make, that's how things work in a small business. At the same time, I'm a firm believer that it's a good idea to write things down, to get your ideas on paper. And you could hold yourself more accountable when you write things down as opposed to keeping them in your mind. I don't necessarily think that business plan is the best format, though.
So when we started, we didn't have a business. We didn't start with a business plan. We really were going straight lean startup kind of strategy. And as time went on, some of the investors we were talking to said, they, not a business plan per se, but they wanted financial projections. And to put those together, we ended up having to kind of flesh out in a lot of detail how we were going to take the business forward, how much we were going to spend on this, what exactly our hiring plan was going to be. And that has actually been really valuable for us. But not because we're actually following it, right? Like I think General Patton said, plans are worthless, but planning is invaluable. And we found that to be really true. Like having this sort of benchmark of what our expectations are, what we think is going to happen, is good, because when things don't go that way, we can say, oh, okay, we're going to have to hire this additional person, so we're going to need this much more money. Not if you think of the plan as a roadmap, it's bad. If you think of the plan as, a personal internal reflection, kind of like what Lenny was saying, for getting your assumptions down on paper, thinking through what your requirements are going to be, and getting at least a sense of where the business could go in different paths and different opportunities, that I think is really useful. But as a note, if investors come to you and start asking for your business plan and they expect like a 10-page packet of papers, you probably should reconsider having them as investors.
We never had a business plan when we started. Just wasn't something we were up for doing. Our whole thing was, hey, let's just start it and see what happens. We didn't even have a bank account when we started or incorporated a company. It was just, hey, let's see what happens. It wasn't until like 3-4 months in that we say, all right, we need to incorporate the company and get a bank account. But to me, business plans are bullshit. I mean, you can't predict what's going to happen. You can't forecast what's going to happen. Tomorrow, the internet might get unplugged and there goes your business, and then your business plan isn't ready for that variable. So obviously it's something that investors love to see. It helps them sleep at night better when they know there's some sort of plan in place. But with us, I mean, we've never never relied on a business plan. We had to put one together recently because we were entertaining the fact of raising money, and obviously all the investors wanted to see it, just use of funds and all that stuff. But it's not something we go by. We know where we have to get, and we know how we have to get there. And we know where to spend money, where to not spend money, and how to hire. I mean, we've done this on a very lean basis, so we understand the value of money. And some companies are overfunded and they can spend money on whatever they want, whereas we make sure for every dollar we're putting into something, there better be a return.
Carlos, as a investor, you want to talk a little bit about, I mean, do people still just automatically ask for a business plan as kind of a perfunctory matter, and does it really
Right.
matter that much?
We're not going to get in the middle of this. It's become a religious conversation, right? To business plan or not to business plan. You have to have a way to tell your story when you're trying to raise money. How you do that, that's entirely up to you. But you got to be able to tell the complete story. Otherwise, nobody's going to sign a check for you. Now, you can call that a business plan, or you can call that an investor pitch. You can put it on a napkin, as long as the whole story flows and it's coherent. And and so we need some sort of a story.
Oh, I like that. It's
Right.
telling the story. Maybe in the future they'll be done by video presentations or just PowerPoint, or different forms of a business plan. But
Because I'm surprised when people say the business plan. I mean, I wasn't aware that there was a standard format for. You got to cover all the aspects of describing your business. That's there's no established format. I mean, you can do it any way you want, as long as it's convincing, it's persuasive, and it makes it look like you know what you're doing. Because otherwise, hey, if you come to me and you say, well, tomorrow I may change all of this and decide that, I'm going to do something else. I'll say, well, maybe we should wait until tomorrow, right? Yeah, before you get funded. So there's got to be, I mean, let's face it. Entrepreneurs are serious people. They have a vision, and we want to hear this vision and how you're going to achieve, the steps required to get to the end. And that could change. It's dynamic, and we accept that. But at least share your vision with us.
okay.